Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome into First Pitch, MLB premiere show here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Happy Monday morning to you. I am Drew Martin, joined today by Matt Josephs. We're going over the card for tonight's short Monday card here for April 25th with Matt Josephs, Mid-Major Matt on Twitter, sportsmemo.com's most profitable MLB handicapper. Also, what, Matt? Tied for top best win percentage. And guys, when you combine both of those, that means he's having a really, really good season. Check him out, Matt Joseph, sportsmemo.com. Matt, welcome in. Happy Monday morning to you.
Always good to be on the show with you, Drew. Love talking baseball as much as possible. Coming off a 5-3 day yesterday. Lost my first 3, but then won the last 5. That's all that matters, including the 2 biggest plays that I had. So looking forward to bringing a different perspective, looking at some K-props or some first 5s, first 3s for some of these games we talk about today.
We got 3 games on the slate, guys. New York Mets, St. Louis Cardinals. Then it's the battle for Texas with the Houston Astros and Texas Rangers, followed with the nightcap Cleveland Guardians, that is, versus the LA Angels. Let's start off here at the top. NL East, NL Central matchup. Actually, battle of 2 first-place teams, Matt, in the New York Mets at the St. Louis Cardinals. We get Max Scherzer versus Miles Mikolas. Good pitching matchup here. Total of 7, minus 160 to as high as minus 165 now on the Mets. Matt, we've seen the Mets take some money here, and it's something that I've noticed in MLB betting markets, guys, where a team like the Cardinals on a 3-game road trip, their first game back home, the market tends to fade that first home game back, plus the fact they're going up against Scherzer. But something the market might not realize here, Matt, is Miles Mikolas off to a hot start. Pretty good pitcher himself, rocking that arguably the best mustache in MLB. What are you thinking here? Low total, heavy favorite, the Mets on the road.
So it's an interesting game in terms of you look at what Miles Mikolas has done the last 2 games, and he's had a lot of strikeouts with the strikeouts at 7 and 5 his last 2 games. And I wonder how much of that was a product of facing Milwaukee and Miami, because those are 2 of the more strikeout-prone teams in the league. And now he's getting a Mets team that had gone under in 10 of their last 13 K-props. I'm not a guy who buys on Mikolas, but I also think that the money line on this one is way too much for the Mets. I mean, look, we know how good Scherzer is, and Scherzer's going to give them 6 or 7 innings. I actually think there's some value on DraftKings. They do an outs prop. Scherzer's the type of guy, even when he gets touched up a little bit, he's going to go deep in games. So I think you can pencil him in for 6 innings at least. If you want to isolate Scherzer a little bit, just kind of that first 5, you could go and take a look at the the minus half a run if you like the Mets here. But I'm not a Mikolas guy. I think the last 2 outings were more of a product that he's facing free swinging teams. I lean to Scherzer here, but the money line's a little bit too pricey for me.
Okay, I like your analysis there on the starting pitchers, Matt. What about the St. Louis Cardinals going forward, man? I've always thought that this lineup, not always, but this season, they were actually a team I saw in spring training just going over it, man. Aaron Nolanado, we got Paul Goldschmidt. I think they're riding under the radar. I really do. They're profitable on the season. They're at top of the NL Central here, a division that a lot of people were, pricing as the Brewers, just kind of run away with it. You think they have a shot here to hang with the Brewers for the whole season?
Yeah, I do. I mean, look, their bullpen's a little bit of a concern here. And, of course, the back end of the rotation, we have to see what Jordan Hicks does because they're grooming Jordan Hicks to be a starter. But at least early on, he's only going to be able to go 2 or 3 innings. Can he harness that 100-mile-an-hour stuff and keep it in the strike zone? Because we know his walks have been an issue. So it's really about the bullpen for the Cardinals, and it's really about can their offense do enough consistently. We've seen them have these stretches where the group hits really well, but then there's stretches where they can't hit anything here. So the Cardinals' consistency is a bit of an issue. issue here. And of course, you look at the Brewers offense isn't great, but it's their pitching staff that gets them through. And if Devin Williams can figure things out, he's got an ERA, or at least entering yesterday, he had an ERA over 6. If he starts getting and locking down that 8th inning, we know it's Williams and Hader taking care of the 8th and the 9th for the Brewers. So a lot of question marks with both teams, I think, early on in the season.
Yeah, I like the Cardinals this year, guys, looking to be betting on them. And then on the Mets side of things, Matt, we get the Mets, 4 games ahead of the second place team in the NL East. Do you think this is something they're going to run away with it? I mean, sitting at 12-5, the second place team is actually the Marlins at 7-8. So they're the only team over 500. You think this is kind of indicative of what's going to happen this season? It might be the Mets division to be had?
No, I still think the Braves are going to win this division. I think there's some value if you want to take the Braves to win this division now, depending upon your sports book. I just think they're a better team. I think the Mets are an older team in certain spots. You know, Scherzer already had a little bit of an injury, and DeGrom is out. We're waiting the MRI today to see what the update is on his injury. They've got a great pitching staff. They've got a decent enough bullpen, and they've got a good enough lineup right now. But I just don't think they're the best team in the division. Quite often we see teams get out to these leads in the past. I think the Royals have been in first place early on in seasons, and of course they fall back. Now, the Mets aren't the Royals, but I think the Braves are better, and I think the Phillies at some point are going to snap out of this. Maybe if they get rid of Joe Girardi at some point, they'll pick up some energy from that. And your Marlins, I think, are a team that could certainly be in the mix. So, no, I don't think this will be a runaway for the Mets. I think there's some value if you want to take somebody else to win this division. Yeah,
somebody's got to try to reel them in here. Talking about the Metropolitans, we got a battle for Texas up next, guys. 8 o'clock Eastern start for this one. We get the Houston Astros. -140, actually down to -135 at a lot of shops here. Texas, the home team here, total of 8. We get Framber Valdez on the hill for the Stros. Dane Dunning for the Rangers. What are you thinking here? Battle for Texas, Matt. You involved?
Well, I am actually involved in an aspect when we get into the best bets. But the guy that's kind of interesting in this game is Dane Dunning. Last year Dane Dunning was a 3-inning guy. The Rangers were preserving him as much as possible. And, early on this season, they're letting him go, and he's got good stuff. But this is an Astros team that, once again, much like last year, does not strike out a ton. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of handle Dunning. Last year, I believe he had a 2-inning outing against the Astros, had 4 strikeouts. He's got nasty stuff. It's just he's not going deep in games. And this could be one of those classic cases. If you like the Rangers, you're isolating the first 5 or even the first 3, which a couple of books offer. Dunning, that first time through the lineup, has been really good so far this season. I don't trust this Texas Rangers bullpen. I don't trust Framber Valdez here 100%. So if you really want to kind of isolate something and kind of just take the starting pitchers, look at the Rangers in the first 5 or the first 3. Maybe they take them early, take the Astros late, because I do think the Astros probably win this game, but I do give the pitching edge to the home team in this one.
Okay, pitching edge to Dunning. I was looking at Valdez's numbers. He's leading Major League Baseball in ground ball percentage, 74%, by the way. So that's a stat I would kind of look to be betting on. Plus the fact the Astros, Jeremy Pena, their shortstop, Carlos Correa, he's coming in. He might be the AL Rookie of the Year this year, Matt. He's putting up some numbers there at short for the Stros. And the Astros, 14-5. So they won 14 of the 19 games against Texas last year in the Battle at Texas. I think that kind of points towards the Stros here, -135. Yeah, Matt, I don't know. That's the way I would look at it. Houston -135 is a play I like on the card. We got 9:40 here, the nightcap for tonight's show anyway. Cleveland Guardians versus the LA Angels. Total of 8, -115. That's what we're seeing. The Halos at home, Lorenzen versus Bieber. Another good pitching matchup here. You're not going to see Bieber getting a plus price very often here. Now, interesting to note, Bieber is from Orange County, California. He grew up an Angels fan, so coming kind of back home. He's got family and friends, a bunch of them, with tickets to the game tonight. A lot of people thinking, hey, that's a good thing. I don't know. I'm kind of a contrarian on this one, Matt. I think that's kind of a fade situation. His cell phone's probably blowing up a lot, got a lot of things on his mind. Plus the fact going up against the Angels at home, overall, 21 home runs the Angels have. That's second only to the Blue Jays this season. I'm looking towards the Angels tonight. I haven't really pulled the trigger yet. What are your thoughts here in Southern California?
So, yeah, I mean, look, I see your angle, and we've talked about this before, this sort of angle, because there's been some other situations where we've taken a look at things when it comes to even other sports, guys coming home or it's their birthday or things like that. If Bieber's a veteran enough guy, I feel like he should be able to handle it, and I feel like he's also probably at some point pitched in Anaheim before in his career. He's also facing an Angels team that's one of the few teams, so I kind of compiled this database a little bit of all the K-props so far this season. The Angels are one of the few teams in the American League that have actually gone over their K-prop total more than gone under. Now, there's been several that have not seen any totals released by the books, but so far this season, of the 13 games that they've had K-props, 8 of the times they've gone over, 5 of the times they've gone under, and this is a team that struck out 7 times against Verlander, 7 times against Luis Garcia. So if there's ever a time for Bieber to get healthy a little bit, it is a little bit against this free-swinging Angels team. And then Lorenzen, look, Lorenzen had a really good first outing against, once again, your Marlins, who we do know like to strike out quite a bit. And then the second time he came back to earth. So a hitter and a pitcher at the same time. He is not doing that right now. He's focusing more on the pitcher end. So he is such a wild card here, Drew. But I think that wild card thing could play to your advantage here. If you do like Bieber, and if you think Lorenzen's not bad, especially that first time through the order, once again, you could look at a first 3 under here. It's pretty stationary at 2.5 across most books. If you think that he's going to get through this order because the Indians haven't seen him very much, maybe you look at a first 3 under here, kind of take care of that first time through the order in theory, and then you don't have to worry about the second time, the bullpens, or anything like that.
I like it, Matt. Good stuff. We got the chat box coming in. Ouroboros saying, I like the Angels' long road trip for Cleveland. Brandon Porter in the house. He's saying, read the lines, fellas. That's a trap game. Talking about what sports books are wanting you to bet. Professor Chris in the house. We got Buck G. Thanks to all you guys joining us live. Eric Jones as well. Jeffrey Moore, all in the house. We're going here around the 2 o'clock Eastern time, guys, with first pitch right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Feel free to reply below in the section below. And guys, what about Bieber coming back home? Do you think that that is something, a bettable angle, a bettable situation, either bet on or fade? Do you agree with me that actually guys coming home might be a fade opportunity with so much on their mind? But like Matt talked about, there is a difference there with guys that have kind of been around in the show for a while. Bieber isn't necessarily like a rookie, second, third year guy. He's been here for a while, so I don't know that it affects him as much, but that is something I kind of look to fade, especially with younger starting pitchers when they do come back home, where I don't think the majority of people would think that way. Hey, interested in your thoughts. Feel free to reply below on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Matt, good stuff as always. Guys, check out Matt Joseph's here at MidMajor Matt on Twitter, but even more so at sportsmemo.com. Most profitable baseball handicapper on Sports Memo and tied for the best win percentage. So it's not something where he's just throwing out a bunch of volume and slightly over 500, so he's the most profitable. And at the same time, he's hitting a high percentage. That's why I throw out both of those things, guys. He's having a really good year at sportsmemo.com. He's got a niche on the K-prop market. And Matt, before we get to your best bets, I got a question for you. You bring up first 3 innings. You bring up K-props. Are you kind of doing both of those? Where can people find first 3 innings? Is it at all the sports books in the industry?
DraftKings and BetMGM both have first 3. They have first 5. They have first 7, which is interesting because I don't know any situations when you would necessarily want to isolate and take out the 8th and 9th guys, because in theory, if your team's winning, you're going to have the best of the 8th and 9th pitchers. So there are a bunch of them. So I would say, yeah, if you go to BetMGM, if you go to DraftKings, those are the 2 books. And let me, Drew, just bring up one other thing. I know we didn't talk about the game, but the most interesting game of the day is the Brewers and the Giants. And the reason why it's the most interesting, you and I have talked about, and everybody talks about in our industry, the Sunday night baseball fade. Now, the Brewers are coming off flying to Philadelphia. They played in Philadelphia last night. They are flying home for 1 game because this was from the first week of the season, first week or 2 of the season that got postponed. So they put 1 game here for some reason. So Milwaukee is flying from Philadelphia back to Milwaukee for 1 game against the Giants. And then they're flying on the road once again. So it's a 1-night thing for the Brewers. So it's such an odd situation for Milwaukee here. I know Corbin Burns is on the mound, but maybe the Giants at least early. Once again, first 3, first 5. You take that plus half or whatever on the first 5. I looked at the Giants early in this one, Drew. I know it's Corbin Burns, but this is a very interesting travel spot for Milwaukee. What do you think?
Oh my gosh. Great point in terms of just bringing that up, because it wouldn't happen a lot on the MLB schedule. Just one game, flying back, and then also flying out. So you would think that they would schedule this for the Brewers in between like a home streak, or if they had like 2 series at home, maybe put it on the front end or the back end. To do this to the Brewers is really weird scheduling spot. I guess I would come back with a couple. First off, I would look towards the Giants. That's first and foremost. But Burns on the hill does kind of scare me. I mean, this guy can shut things down. If Burns goes, 7-8 innings, no earned runs, it is that's going to be tough to go up against. I guess my question, I don't have it in front of me. What is the Giants scheduling spot? Are they also flying in like from a long distance? That would be my first question. And then I would probably go to, obviously the bullpens, because Milwaukee, yes, they have Josh Hader, who's very good, but the rest of their bullpen, including Williams, has really not been all that good, Matt. I mean, by most metrics, they're kind of bottom 10 in MLB, which I think a lot of people out there think the Brewers bullpen is really good. Out the gate, it really hasn't been. San Francisco, obviously, over 100-win team last season. I kind of like the Giants. I know a lot of people don't, but I guess my question back to you would be, what is the Giants scheduling spot?
So the Giants were just in D.C. They flew to Milwaukee, which is a decent flight, and then after that, they fly home and start a brief 5-game homestand. So they also are in this same situation, but they definitely got in Milwaukee before the Brewers did last night. So at least they have a little bit more rest time than the Brewers do. But you're right, and the Giants going to an opener here. We saw what they did. It was, let me see real quick. I think it was Saturday. Friday. Sammy Long, he now wants to go by Sam. Sam Long opened up the game, went 2 innings for the Giants, and he looked pretty good in his 2 innings against the Nationals. So they've done this already on Friday. Now, I don't know if Junis, the former Royals pitcher who followed him on Friday, is going to be available here, but the Giants just did this, Drew, so I kind of like the Giants bullpen. It's just a thing of, we don't know what the order is. You don't know who's going to follow him. You don't know who's going to cover the later innings for the Giants. And that's a lot of question marks when Burns is going to probably end up going 6 or 7 in this one.
Yeah, and some guys in the chat box helping us out as well. Jeff and we got Jeff saying Hader pitched yesterday. He's likely not available. Robert S. as well. So that even hurts the Brewers more in the later innings. Yeah, man. I love the point there. Plus 165, as high as plus 172 at the Westgate right now. Looking at the WagerTalk odds screen, that's the San Francisco Giants as the underdog in a peculiar scheduling spot here in MLB. Also doing the research, Matt. I don't have it in front of me here. I don't know if you know off the top of your head. This is a tough question. Do you know if Burns or Long, but I guess Long is just an opener, more so Burns. Do you know if he flew back early or if he just got there with the team? Would you know that information?
I don't know that, but I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure that's something
one.
you find. I'm going to guess he maybe flew back, but even then, I don't know. That's great that he's there, and that's why maybe you could look at an under here if you think the bats are going to be a little bit tired. We don't know what Milwaukee's lineup is going to look like, so there's a lot of different ways you can attack this one. It's just a really odd scheduling spot early on in the season.
Very odd. Good point. Bringing it up here, guys. Matt Josephs at Mid-Major Matt on Twitter, sportsmemo.com. I'm on wagertalk.com. Drew Martin got $9 Monday, guys. Both of our plays just discounted to $9. So check us out, WagerTalk and sportsmemo.com. We got Paco Healy in the house, Darren as well. Thanks for joining us live, Eric Jones as well. And again, guys, feel free to reply below on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Any questions you got in terms of betting on Major League Baseball, all welcome. We'll try to answer them here on First Pitch. So, Matt, we got best bets coming up, man, and I'm going to the middle game here. Battle for Texas, Houston Astros minus 135. I think it's too short here, guys. I'm laying the 35 cents with the Houston Astros. We get Framber Valdez on the hill. He has the highest ground ball percentage in MLB out the gate this season at 74%. Also, the Astros have owned the Rangers in the battle for Texas. They were 14-5, winning 14 of the 19 games played between the two last season. I think that carries over to this season. I don't think the market is pricing it correctly. And plus, Jeremy Pena stepping in for Carlos Correa. What would happen to this Houston Astros offense? He's been lighting it up, likely going to be, or at least the front runner. Well, I don't know about the front runner, but in the running for the AL Rookie of the Year. He's doing a great job there, shortstop, hitting for the Astros. So I like the Houston Astros minus 135. Matt, throw it over to you. What do you got for best bets for the show, man?
All right, so I'll start this out by saying today's card is gross, and I actually didn't get out any client plays today because I didn't like anything. The thing that was the closest to a client play for me, and I always hate kind of going against the move in the K-prop market because, the K-prop market's one of those things where at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, the lines come out, and by 10, they're heavily juiced, and you almost don't want to get involved. But this is one that's kind of stayed kind of stagnant. So I'm going to take the underdog here and take under 4.5 strikeouts for Framber Valdez in said game. And you gave me one of the statistics, the leading the league in ground balls. That certainly is not a strikeout here. When you look at the Rangers so far, in 15 games, they've gone under their K-prop 10 times. Against left-handers this season, Ryu had 4 strikeouts. Gomber had 4 strikeouts. Reed Detmers had 5. Suarez had 3. Robbie Ray only had 4. And Marco Gonzalez had 6. They're also coming off of 4 strikeouts against Cole Irvin. As I said, I wouldn't really play anything today, but I do think a plus price, I think it's worth a sprinkle on the Framber Valdez under strikeouts. He hasn't been that much of a strikeout pitcher this year. You throw away the statistics for last year because this lineup is somewhat different from last year's team. I think the Rangers get more bats on balls today and have less strikeouts. So we'll take a shot, a little sprinkle on the Framber Valdez under 4.5 strikeouts at a plus price, depending upon where you shop.
Guys, both involved in the same game here. Recap for best bets. I'm on the Stros, minus 135 as the short road favorite. And we got Matt Joseph's Framber Valdez, under 4.5 strikeouts, plus price there, plus 122. Best of luck if you're tailing on best bets. Guys, if you're liking the content, please smash the like button. Feel free to reply below. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Come back and join us. Best of luck until then.
All we can say is wow. We ran an NBA playoff special in which the first 99 packages sold were discounted down to $149, and pardon the pun, they sold like hotcakes. Well, NHL fans, do not fret, as we are not only matching that offer, but we are actually making it better. Starting Monday, April 25th, the first 99 packages sold using the code PUCK149 will not only get the entire NHL playoffs for only $149, but they will also get the rest of the regular season for free. That means that you can get over 2 months of NHL through the Stanley Cup Finals for under $19 per week. That's paying less than one single play package regularly priced at $25. Do not get shut out, as coupon code PUCK149 is good at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo and only will be available for the first 99 packages sold, but you may use this code to purchase more than one NHL playoff package.